a great benevolent magic looking at other peoples who don't understand it yet. In other words, our physics and our basic concepts of science are basically wrong. And we'll discover that when we understand the nature of the advanced technologies that will be introduced to us, and we'll see all the mistakes that happened and what and how we went wrong. But what has happened is a lot of scientists that have begun to work with these technologies for the secret governments have discovered that there are things that are very anomalous to their concept of science. And so we have some people who are understanding and working with very anomalous science concepts and understanding what I'm talking about is true, but of course they are under top secret, do not disclose anything. So there is right now in this world, as far as the galaxy goes, light beings that are attempting, under the divine plan, I shouldn't really say attempting, that are shifting us from the limited consciousness we are in right now to the full conscious beings that we will very shortly be.
I'm just wondering what qualifies them to be messing with anybody's consciousness, because it sounds like they weren't always perfect, and they may not be perfect now. I don't think they're really up for the job.
Well, you don't really know them, and you don't really it seems you don't really understand do you understand what consciousness is?
Well, evidently they don't have one, because they don't do right or wrong, and they don't make mistakes. So I would say that from a consciousness level, that's something that they wouldn't even have a concept of, because conscious means that you can judge between the two. But if they're always perfect, then how can they judge?
You have an awareness of the divine.
Okay. All right. Did you mention in the first hour, because this is a question here, I may not have heard this, were you suggesting that the aliens will give people books sort of to understand them, or something to...
Right, exactly.
Okay. Would you call that book that they'll receive perhaps the...
It's called the Book of Understanding, translated from Syrian into English.
Okay, understanding, I guess. Would you say that would be a book, say, of the knowledge between good and evil, that kind of understanding?
It's about the divine wisdoms of how to go beyond the concept of judgment. That's because when you get into good and evil, you get into duality, you're getting into judgment, and we have to get beyond judgment. And they're not
very judgmental, are they?
Well, I'm just explaining it to you from the context of where we are right now to the context of where we're going. And so what I'm trying to do is to have you understand all of the concept of wisdom. The wisdom is the divine operates in a very unique way, and it goes beyond this whole concept of light and dark. This concept of light and dark is a manipulative concept that has occurred in the world's religions for millennia. And once you get into more advanced text, you get beyond all of that light and dark stuff. As a matter of fact, the whole concept of the advanced concepts of Brahma, etc., in Hinduism go beyond all this dualism.
Okay, so you don't really believe in good or evil. It's just really depending on how you look at it.
It's what we have to understand is good and evil is in this limited world, and we're moving beyond that.
But it's not evil is not in their world. Is that correct?
As we know it here, no.
Well, how would we know it there? What is their kind of evil there?
They don't have an evil right now. Dan, you're trying to create things within the concepts of what we know here versus the concepts of their basic way of doing with things. And the first thing is we have to get rid of the dualism.
Okay, so you yourself don't believe in the existence of evil, because your consciousness has been elevated to their level.
What I'm doing is I'm working within the context of this world, and I'm helping to move people toward the context of the others. And to make assumptions based upon things that you believe is not correct. Okay. And therefore, it's like talking about apples and oranges as though they're the same fruit. So we really can't. If we're going to talk about a dualistic world and a non-dualistic world, it's like you can't really talk about it in the same way.
Well, I understand that, but I'm trying to test that, because I mean every theory or conjecture or plan for humankind ought to be subject to testable scenarios. And one of the scenarios, a testable scenario of the elimination of this duality, as you speak, if there are those that resist and the aliens kill them in the non-duality part, that's not a problem.
Well, once again, we're just doing common logic called reductionism, and that's the basis of science.
No, we're not talking about logic.
Let's get rid of the scientific method as the reductionist concept of the scientific method and move on.
Well, they might want to be reductionist to the human population for those that resist. I'm suggesting...
No, they're not. There's not going to be any resistance to this because once people understand who they are and what they're doing,
we will be assimilated. Will people be assimilated into their consciousness? Willingly?
It's a divine plan, Daniel. It's what we're basically becoming, our full aspected light children that we're meant to be.
So you would suggest
right now we're like a puppet of who we are.
So they would, in some certain sense, they would bring in some sort of human salvation down with them.
It's not really salvation. Salvation, rescue missions, all this stuff has been thrown at me. I've been accused of being a religion and all kinds of things like that. That's not what this is about.
Well, aren't they saving us from ourselves? We're obviously this dark, we're in this knowledge of good and evil area here. They're trying to bring us to an age of enlightenment and full consciousness. It seems to me they're bringing something of a sea change, and I guess salvation might be a sort of a religious term, but I mean, it
might
seems
be because
like
we're moving. Let's just say we're moving from a lower vibrational reality into a higher vibrational reality.
When you talk about vibrations, is this something you can feel, or is that something that we can just think about?
Right. People have felt changes happening to them, and this is one of another things that has been a cover-up is the genetic and energy changes happening to us. And this is one of the things I wish that medical science could be unleashed on, and people could understand the whole process.
Sheldan,
so right now it's just me and a bunch of other people talking about these changes, explaining it, and those people who had the physical evidence that is exactly proof of everything have been severely suppressed. So we have to go once again upon faith and understanding and change and just feel it. A lot of people that I've talked to have told me about the changes and how they're feeling them and sensing them and seeing from different exercises they have to go through that things are quite different than the way that they're supposed to be as a result of the exercises they're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, people could be going through menopause too and then be thinking that, they're going through some sort of alien change. These things have to be testable. You're bringing a whole new concept to the whole human race. And they need to be questioned, Sheldan. I mean, they need to be tested of different scenarios. I mean, I'm not seeing, it's maybe my limited mind, but I can't see the entire planet just saying, "Oh, okay, come on in, guys, we're with you now." I see the humans as from all the way back. They pretty much don't give in to change that easy. But you've expressed some sort of blanket mind switch, and I think that people being free will beings seem like they should have the right as a human species or as a galactic species to make up their own mind without the help of some alien coming down and putting thoughts in their head.
Well, it's just like let me just put this out ending kind of in a high note. Just look at archaeology. People who are archaeologists and sociologists, paleosociologists, have always believed that the basis of advancement in humanity was war, and that all civilizations, basically to create a civilization, had to have war. And then they went into South America and they found a couple of civilizations, and this amazed and changed a lot of people's mindset, that they were civilizations that were based upon non-war situations, upon harmony, and upon people living together. And suddenly they learned that there was a possibility for a whole different mindset for how human civilization was created. So what we have to understand is that there are alternatives here.
Okay, Sheldan, when they come and the human species goes into this higher vibration and the new consciousness, will we live 3,000 years like the aliens?
As we become fully conscious, sure.
Okay, how long is this as? What's the time frame of the as we become?
First there will be a period of transition as we change into who we are. And as we change into who we are, the purpose of life on this planet is to achieve our life missions in each lifetime. Now, initially people on this planet may have set it up in their life contracts that the shift in the time period was much less, like 1,000 or 1,500 years initially.
Now, do the aliens know each person?
What they'll do.
Do the aliens know each person's life mission, or is that hidden from them?
Every person, once you really get rid of the garbage that is created by limited consciousness, some people in psychology and psychiatry have called the conscious mind the tyrant. Once you get rid of the tyrant, so to speak,